So we're going to start out by wetting our brush, taking the excess water off, and then we're going to just scoop up some of this matte medium and use it as you would masking fluid. But what we're doing is just creating lots of luscious layers. So we want texture, but we don't want it too thickly on, unless it's something that you really want to go for, and in which case I would say leave it overnight so that the matte medium is completely dry. But because I'm kind of eager to get on, fairly impatient sometimes when I'm trying things out, I kind of like to just put it on lightly like this. Right, so that's the first layer. I don't want to have too much of the paper peeking through. I quite like all of the layers that the medium creates. So I'm going to dry that, and then we'll do our first kind of paler layer. And that's looking good. So I'm going to use some of that magenta mix, and I'm just going to put like a paler wash of this over the top. And you can see already at this stage how beautiful it is. You can take your time doing this because it's so relaxing, and not too much water in your watercolour, so you get a nice good colour there. We don't want it to overpower it. So that's our first paler layer, and then we're going to dry that and put another layer of matte medium on top. And this is how quick a process it is. So I'm going over the layer under there. I really want to kind of build up lots of brush strokes, lots of layers, doing it quickly. I'm not worried about whether it looks like a petal, a flower, a leaf. I'm just doing shapes, and I want them kind of overlapping quite a lot. You might need to hold it up to the light to see where you're at. And word of warning again is just to take any of those excess bits that look a little bit like they're pooling, because they take ages to dry. And there's that risk of just lifting the top off them. Right, so that's my next layer. I'm rinsing off my brush straight away after I've used the matte medium, just to protect my brush. So I'm going to dry that layer. Okay, so that's that thoroughly dried, and we're now going to just pull over a really rich top layer. And this is that mix of alizarin crimson and dioxazine purple. And got that kind of magenta thing going on there. Gorgeous. And you can take your time over this layer too if you like, because it's so restful to do. And things start to pop out and you can start to see all the layers, all the brush strokes overlapping each other. And just as it is gorgeous. So you might decide that you love this so much that you just want to stop at this stage, and who would blame you, because it's gorgeous and this photographs so well. So what's happening there is the matte medium is working like a resist, but it's such an efficient resist because you can go over and over and over it, and you've only got tiny bits of the original paper poking through. It means you can go back in and change things as well if you're not happy with something. So let me just show you what the further technique is that I absolutely adore, which is starting to lift some of the paint off these petals. Now the watercolour is still wet, but you can let it dry and come back another day and do this, because it still wipes off, because of course we've still got that matte medium underneath. Isn't that just like magic? So you might not want to lift all of your petals, but you can see the outline of the petals, and you can just start to go in and gently lift with the clean water on a clean cloth. This also is very restful to do. And you'll see the two layers coming out. Some are paler, and you've got that layer which is slightly darker that holds on to some of the watercolour. So for example, this here is a background colour. So that's quite nice just to bring out this one here as well. Right, now let me show you, if you have lifted a petal like this and you're not happy with it being as pale as that, you can correct it, because we've got this lovely layer of the matte medium underneath. So you can actually lay colour back on top of there if you want. And this is the beauty of this technique. Dab a little bit off if you want. Just get that little brush technique going. So I hope you enjoy this as much as I've enjoyed developing it, because I can see me doing this ad infinitum, and I certainly would do it as a little card for somebody, but I'm going to be doing this on a larger scale for, you know, designs for industry too. I've not seen this technique used anywhere else. It was pure luck really that my brain somehow fired off two synapses and saw the matte medium, saw some watercolour and thought, what if? And it's those moments that we live for, isn't it? To just love the discovery that can happen with art. I love all of that, the experimentation. So I really hope that this is as restful as it was for me.